Stacey.
You put on a lot of shows, and even with internationals, how do bands here get you to hear their music? Do they send you CDs, or do they invite you to their live shows? How do these bands promote themselves to people who are putting on gigs?
I actually reckon that the best way to promote your band to those sorts of people, even record labels, is just to not approach them. I reckon that's the best way because, having worked at music publishing for 5 years as well, just the stack of CDs on my desk, and I did really try to listen to them, which is why there were stacks. Most people just throw them straight in the bin, and seen so many, label A&R guys do that. And I think that's a bit terrible, but you do actually get a lot of stuff in, so it's actually quite impossible to listen to it all. And to be honest, it's more probably word of mouth that I'd probably listen to, and live. So and usually, a lot of the industry, because the New Zealand music industry is so small, a lot of people talk and people go, oh, have you heard this band? They're new and I think they're quite good. And then you go and check them out live. So I reckon you kind of just do what you do, just keep doing it. And people that you want to reach will just come to you, and you're in a much better situation in that sense. But that's just how I kind of see it. But I don't know if people...
Should you invite them to your shows? Do you say, well, we're playing at Ellen Melville on Friday night, come and see our show?
Yes and no. Maybe there's a way of doing it. You don't want to be too kind of forward with it, but you want to be friendly about it. But I don't know, to be honest, I'd probably go to more... That sounds really bad. If I say I don't go to something just because someone invited you, but I'd like to find that on my own steam, or someone that recommends a band to you, then that sort of carries along my weight, because if you know a friend or another person in the music industry that recommends a band to you, you know that that band's worth checking out because there was some sort of reason why they wanted to do that. So yeah,
I'd say play lots of shows,
yeah,
really. It's not a big deal if someone doesn't come to your show. It's not like you've got a certain number of shows you're allowed to play or anything like that. So just play lots of them, and then if you're good, then, or if,
Your work gets around. It's such a small industry. You just hear about one band, and then basically everyone in the industry is talking about the exact same band. But that's kind of good. I go to probably 3 or 4 shows a week, and or more, and so I like discovering new bands. And sometimes I find them on my own scene, but most times it's recommendations.
So develop your live sound. Yeah. Hey, I've got a question for you, Shah. Who were the 2 youngest or newest bands at Laneway, and how did they get picked to play the Laneway Festival?
I think that they were Street Chant,
yeah,
and maybe Dear Times Waste, but I just did digital strategy for that show, so I wasn't in charge of picking the bands or anything, so I don't really know, but I think probably their management applied, and yeah.
So in your company, do a lot of people come and say, hey, look, this is our band, here's our EP, we're really looking for opportunities, what can we do?
Well, as a music editor, like Savina said, I've got mountains of CDs on my desk that I'm supposed to be listening to and stuff, so it is quite hard, but I definitely do agree with Savina that I'm way more likely to listen to something if I find it myself, because then that's more like a personal thing. Oh, I found this band and I really like them, because I get tons of emails from bands saying, hey, we're the next big thing, we're great, blah blah blah, and I guess when you're pitching to music journalists, if you really actually want them to pay attention to you, then it can't hurt to actually do some research about the journalist, find out what bands they actually do like, and if your band is in a similar genre, then you can approach it that way, because I'm way more likely to even listen to an MP3 that's sent to me if they're like, hey, we noticed that you like this band, blah blah, we have a song that kind of sounds like that, check us out, rather than, for example, I'm not really a big fan of dub or dance music, and I do get quite a lot of local bands emailing me about that, and of course I'm not going to like them, so that was kind of a waste of their time. If they had researched and found out, then yeah.
Do you want to add anything here for moral support? Because you're on the couch for moral support, so...
I'm good.
You good? Okay. Well, there's got to be a way of approaching these people. I've got this question here. probably Savina, what is an effective way for a band or artist to source a promoter? I mean, can you ring them up, buy them lunch? Should you approach a promoter?
Say no to a free lunch.
There you go,
no,
free lunch.
No, just kidding. I reckon, I guess I've been at the other end. I used to manage a few bands myself, and it was hard, but I think that's probably a good thing, just going back to the whole management thing. One of the pros of getting a manager is to separate yourself from the business side of it. Not just for the creative side, which I think is good as well, but because if basically it's a bit harder when you're selling yourself and you're like, hey, we're great, it just sounds a little bit sort of biased, whereas if you've got someone else, maybe a credible manager who's saying, hey, this person's, you should have a listen, and if they give you, and most people don't like giving you bad feedback to the person that, is in the band or wrote the song, and it's actually a lot easier dealing with managers in that sort of sense, because you can kind of be upfront saying, actually, we're not looking for that style of music, or hey, that you guys aren't just quite at that stage yet, maybe just keep doing what you're doing and, we can chat about it later or whatever. I think that sort of helps.
I think that's really important to also help keep your perspective objective, because I think with quite a few local bands, they'll have like a family member, like their father or like, a parent managing them, and then that's really hard for the band themselves to be objective about it.
They're like soccer dads, they're just worse. That's really good.
I totally agree with that. I reckon because there's too many. Yeah, there's other things that they're hoping for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if it's your dad managing you, it's like your dad also wants you to do other things. You know what I mean? Your dad wants only the best for you, in his opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've managed a few bands, so like I guess from personal experience, you really need someone who is good enough friends with the band on the level where they're not afraid to tell them that they're being lazy and that they need to like work harder, and even just that sometimes you've got to do a little bit of babysitting on the side.
Sorry, I probably totally dodged that question. I reckon the best way is just maybe if you do really want to make an approach, a friendly email is pretty good, because it's pretty non-personal. If you call someone up on their cell phone, which I've had in the middle of the night on a Saturday night or something, and the person then left a message on my phone, and I listened to it I didn't actually hear the phone, which is why I didn't answer it, and it was about someone wanting to play a show or something by music publishing or something, and I just kind of thought that was probably the weirdest phone call that I've had. This number just kept on calling, because obviously they felt a little bit strange, but if you leave a message, that sort of should be it, so don't do that, but I reckon just a friendly...
Who was that? Who was ringing Savina in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Who was it? It was you?
I'm going to get you. No, I reckon just a friendly email just saying, hey, just wanted to introduce ourselves, so don't be too forceful, just say, hey, we're here, here's MySpace if you want to listen to a couple of songs. Probably don't send MP3s, because the attachments can block up people's servers and all that kind of stuff. And just say hi. I'm just very short. Maybe include a bio and a photo if you want, but I wouldn't even say that's even necessary. But even just a MySpace link or something, and I pretty much click on all of those that come through, just because it's so easy just to click on it, just because you're quite curious.
I really like YouTube links, because then you can see the band as well at the same time and listen to their strongest song. Yeah, but I think definitely there's definitely a line between being friendly and pushy. I mean, for example, just this week we had an example of a local person trying to push their band towards us, and he'd contacted me in the past, and like, every you saw it, Facebook drama. About every fortnight I'll actually make a genuine effort to go through my whole inbox and try and reply to all of the unsolicited emails that I've got, because from past experience I know that heaps of music editors, they'll just delete and ignore, so I try to make the effort. And I told him that his band weren't really in the genre of music that we covered, and on Facebook we announced a tour with 3 American bands playing it, and he got quite angry at us and was like, blah blah blah, our band is in the same genre as those bands, I think it's really unfair that you wouldn't cover us, and kept insisting, trying to tell us that his band was as important on the same scale as those American bands. So I think that you definitely shouldn't be like over pushy, have a good perspective about it.
So that guy would fall into the dick category that you were talking about.
Yeah, well that's the thing, it's just like, instead of getting all grumpy, you don't get put on these shows, just like make it undeniable that you should be on them. You know, like just play lots of shows. I reckon that's like the main advice I could give to any band.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
want people to come
even
together.
overplay, you know what I mean?
I reckon my best advice is be nice. I say that probably every panel, but it's so cliche, but I reckon people like dealing with nice people. I just don't deal with bands who are pushy or dicks or whatever, or managers, or, you know, record labels, whoever. You just don't want to deal with them, because I just don't think that's, especially in New Zealand, you don't really need that kind of attitude. And it's just much more nicer when you're trying to do your job, when you're dealing with nice people. So if you're nice and you play really well live, I really don't, and you write good songs, I really think that combination, you really can't go wrong.